I really don't know how to make a teaser for this one. Everything is, oh man, I gotta do the intro out here. It's beautiful. Anyway, yeah, this is about the bottom panel of the fuselage in the rear. So if you want to see about that, I have a couple little things that I did a little different, and I've got some, not really advice, but what I'm using as far as some products. So they might help your build, I don't know. So if you want to see about that, stick around. And so it begins. It took a little to get started on this. I've been working on a sewing machine that I bought, a walking foot, or a stepper foot, no, walking foot. I got a walking foot sewing machine that I had to modify and put into one of my old sewing machine cases, so that when I get ready to do the seats or the floor, I can put the edging on and work on that. Getting myself ready for the next stage. So the garage has been moved all around and cleaned up, and the table's been moved and re-cleaned. Got all the metal specks out of the paint, which is a drawback from having paint and finding out. Got so that I can lay the sheet metal on here and do this, and away we go. I'm working on the tailpiece now. Well, I got the rest of the parts. I found them. They're all there. I measured the squareness of those. They're very square and they look really good. These here, the supports in the back, I forgot the name of them. But anyway, I did grab these, and it bears repeating. If I can see it in the picture. Yeah, you can see it right here. There's just a lot of machining marks, and they're very accurate and nicely done. But in here, and as you go around, there's chatter marks. I don't know if those are going to do anything big, but you can see right here, if I can get it, there it goes. Now you can see it right there. I don't know if they would do anything in the future, but I don't want them to. So I'm going to make sure that I go through all the parts, and this is one of them. I went inside here and filed these out, and now I'm just going in with sandpaper and smoothing the file marks off. The outside sanded up really nice, a block, and oh, not many swipes at all, and it's straight as an arrow. There were a couple little surprises. Had to drill a hole right here where the two skins go together. The rear hole is not drilled in the skin or the longeron, but it is in the skin, the front skin, not the back skin. So that was interesting. And I thought I had it all prepped properly and had it all ready to put together, so I had to take that apart and separate the seams and get the wood shavings. I had to get the metal shavings out, and here we go. One thing I do want to show you is, one thing I didn't realize is that the whole thing is slightly bowed. I thought they were straight. I just thought they were straight. Didn't really look at anything close enough to see. But look at back here. After sanding these flat and priming this up, look at that edge distance. It just clicos up, and that is right on the edge, and that is right on the edge, and it's like that all the way down. It's just beautiful fit. The only thing I have to do, they cut this one, and it's about a 32nd too long right there. And this one's about an 1/8 inch too long. So that'll be final sanded and final filed. Same with the front. They left it over. I'm not going to do anything with that until I go to put the gear channel on there and see just exactly. So that's done. And we're ready to start riveting up. The only thing I wouldn't do if you were getting ready to do this is I put too many clecos in on the other side. You really need to just put one on each corner just to get it to flip over so that you can reach through and put these in. Now, when I get done riveting, I've got to turn it over and take a lot more clecos out than I needed to on this and get it nice and flat and square, and away we go. Of course, I'm going to leave a few of these out in the corner where it overlaps. This, actually, the stuff goes on top of it, so I don't have to worry about picking it up and sliding anything under. And it's fitting really nice. I mean, man, underneath this is the flaperon actuator mount, and I just started clecoing it in one corner, and there was a bunch of holes off. Well, I found out that when you're doing this, if that's the case, loosen it back up and take that cleco out and put it in the other side, and it shifted it enough that there was all perfect except for two. This one and this one I had to drill out, but that was no big deal. So really, it's amazing how strong it'll hold when I put a couple clecos in here, here, and here, that it wouldn't move enough to get those holes perfect. But I took the bad one out. Then you start researching which one's bad. And I took this one out and took these two out, clecos, and put one in the center so I could pivot. And that slid forward just a titch. And all these lined up beautiful, except that one and this one. So I had to drill that out. No big deal. Other than that, it's going really good. I'm gonna, after getting this done, the biggest thing that's on my mind is I got to figure out a place to put this. And of course, I'm not going to put those rear boxes in the back yet because it's easier just to transport it somewhere. But I got to lean this up and get it out of the way. And I got 3 more of these to do. Maybe I'll just flip this over and build some brackets and hold the sides up while I put them together. We'll see. I haven't really thought it through yet. But once I get this one done, onward and upward to the sides. The only other thing I'm thinking about is these skins are a little bit too thin to countersink, and I've got these little rivets that I would like to put in there instead of using the domed heads so that the bottom door sits more flush. And I've got to make up my mind if I'm going to shave those heads down a little bit so that they're flat, because I don't want to countersink this as far, because I want this to stay strong out here. But that's something I'm thinking about. A quick recap while you're prepping out your parts like I just did and got them all ready to go. One thing I ran into was the holes that are being drilled into the longeron. The drill or the table, when they come in and drill them out, they're not going all the way through, so you got to re-drill those. You could prep them like I did and miss it, so just run your eyeball down. It's easy to see if they are, and you could be in the position I was where you're actually putting it on and putting a rivet through and it won't go through, and then when you look in the hole, it's not drilled all the way through. I didn't film any of them because I was just busy doing it, but there was quite a few. There was like a couple here and like 5 of them up in here. And then you got to disconnect everything, take it apart, redo those. So double check. Continuing with the recap, when we put this in, I put it in a little ahead of schedule. Doesn't matter. That's the next step for putting these in. But I'm going to be getting this thing just out of the way so I can do the sides. Okay, so this is my little bit of upgrade. I decided I'd seen that in other builds in the previous year, the previous builds of the fuselage, and I thought, you know, it's not going to hurt anything being over that. It might not even help much, but it was an easy thing to do. I'm in the middle of doing it, so I'm going to put that in. I looked around inside the fuselage in the paperwork, and I can't see anything that it would have gotten in the way of, so that I did. Other than those holes and these having to be drilled. Where is it? Right here, where the two skins meet. I already explained that to you. That has to be drilled out. So anyway, I just flipped it back over, taking all the clecos out that were holding it during that process. Gonna flip it back over now and finish it. Well, now that I got this built this far, I guess better late than never. I was just thinking I need a wire running to the back for the trim for the horizontal stabilizer. And there's no good way to do it later once this is all boxed in. So I'm gonna have some clearance. The thought is I'm gonna have some clearance here. So I think the safest place would be, I'm going to probably have on that side a tank or somewhere in that area to offset my weight if I'm flying alone. And I know I'm gonna be putting some cross members across for that. I'm not gonna use just a side support. So somewhere I can get into this much of it through the hell hole. So it's got to be along this edge here. It doesn't got to be, but that's what I'm going to do. So that saying, build design, is really, really true. Now that I've got it all riveted up, I got to take these out. I'm going to use the existing holes to make a little bracket, and then I'll run a string down through the center of it and be able to pull the wire in there later. If I make it nice and square and up against this, it won't turn. So I was going to use 2 rivets to keep it from swiveling, but I don't need to if it's up against this side tight when I match drill it. I just took a piece of paper and cut that out. I think that'll work. And having it fold over on itself like that will make it a lot stronger for right and left and front and back. Get our first one made and see how it works. Okay, well, I upsized this to an A5 so it'd give it more support because it's only a single rivet, and I upsized that side too so that I can match exactly what size holes there are in the longerons. I'm going to do the same thing here, both sides, count them back. I just need to make 2 more. Well, now that those are done, I really want to come up with something that hooks on this cross member over there in the end, but I don't want to weaken it. So I'm gonna do some head scratching again until I come up with some. Upsized them all to A5, and they're done. While I'm thinking about that, I did get all the nut plates put in, and I did want to countersink them and put solid rivets in, but this is thinner than 30 thousandths. I think it's like 20, but I would have to look it up. But I know it's not 30. So what I did is I countersunk a piece of, what I did was take a piece of steel here and drilled a hole and countersunk it just a little bit, stuck that in there, and then took my whiz wheel grinder here and I ground them down until those heads were really small, because they're not, all they're doing is side support. So I didn't have to countersink that as bad. As far, I didn't have to countersink it all the way to the other side by making the heads much smaller. Probably can't tell a whole lot of difference. Whoop, come on, focus. Probably can't tell a whole lot of difference, but then I sanded them a little bit too. They're domed slightly, but I did get finally the solid ones put in. If this bothers you like it does me, these are made for much thicker metal. When you're going through 25 thousandths or so, they like to rattle around once these the retainers in the back pop out. I just take a little piece of butyl, and I mean just the tiniest little bit, and just roll it on there and then set it in. And when it compresses, it never gets hard. It's not permanent, and it can always be replaced, and then those snap out, and now it doesn't rattle, and that'll stay there for freaking ever. I just realized some people might not know what butyl is. I call it butyl. There's two different kind of products. There's a window sealer that's on a roll. That's a type of butyl, and then there's the strip caulk. It's used in the auto industry to, it's like clay. It's black, it's sticky, it never hardens, and it stays just like this. This is old. This has been around forever. It sits on my toolbox. If I want to put a bolt inside of a socket, I just take a little bit of that and stick it on the side of the bolt, and if I've got to tip it around and they're not magnetized, it holds it in there, and it doesn't hurt anything. You just pull it back out and you can clean it out. So it's got a lot of good uses. I'm going to probably use it around my windshield because after the screws are in, this will weather seal it. And then if you did have to take the windshield back out, all you have to do is fish a piece of dental floss under it with a needle and just pull it along, and this stuff cuts as long as you keep the tension up so it doesn't come down and stick back on itself. But if you roll it thin enough on these, real thin, and don't get it in the little claws in the back that pop out, and just put it around it, it really retains it nicely. One more thing that you might want to use this for is the weather strip that goes around the door. And you know what goes on the side of a channel right here? You take this and you thin it out and you put it inside that channel of that rubber before you stick it on. And it squeezes out, it waterproofs it, it keeps it from vibrating loose, and it's not permanent. So some people use glue on those. That's pretty permanent. So just remember, if you get a package of this, it comes in a little blue box, automotive. If I see a picture of it, I'll put it on here. But it's a really nice product for that kind of thing. One last little piece of strip caulk, and we will have the row done. I went with a simple little thing. The support, the heavy support is on these. They don't wiggle back and forth. These, I just went with an angle bracket just to get it up and over those L angles so the wire doesn't scrape on them. One last little piece of that. Snapped right in. Nice. Now I'll show you what I did. Okay, so these are the strong ones. They've got the little angle and the double bottoms, but this is just a bent angle with a trimmed edge so that it'll fit tight to this and this line here so that it won't want to swivel. And now I'm just going to run a cord down through those and tie it off up here in the front and back so that later when I need to run that wire, I'll just be able to pull it through. Okay, well that pretty much wraps that up. We got the line through each one of those so that I can tie it off in the back, and I used glue on here so it won't get all gooey like duct tape, and that's going to be on there a while, but at least I got them done. I'll give you a close-up of this one I didn't show you. I've just used the standard 4 on the little ones here. It was just a little angle bracket. It supports itself on the back of this from twisting, and in the side here if it tried to twist. So that shouldn't go anywhere. I'd sure like to put them in there with bolts, but you know, that's car mentality. I'll see you in the next one, guys.